less risk that way for you. Chris, thank you very much. Let's speak to the journalist Dawn Foster, who writes for the Guardian newspaper. Dawn, it was your Brussels bureau chief who broke the news that Michel Barnier had got this green light to intensify talks. What does that mean, intensify talks, and why now?
So they essentially want to try and rush talks ahead of Thursday's summit, and the tunnel that they're talking about essentially means that they want people not to leak anything during the talks, because that often does scupper the talks. So it's basically asking the UK to commit to coming in and having very serious talks and not leaking any of the details until the talks are finished, probably late on Monday.
How encouraged would you be by it then?
I still think that even though Boris Johnson says he's going into the talks with a lot of confidence, I can't see any deal really coming out of it. The current things that are being proposed by some people involve no checks on the British border in Ireland, but and keeping them in the customs union, but that would mean east-west checks, and that would be a new common partnership, and it's exactly that sort of partnership in Theresa May's deal that led Boris Johnson to leave the cabinet under her premiership. And also the DUP will be very, very unhappy about anything that makes Northern Ireland different to the rest of the UK. And, you know, we can talk about the Good Friday Agreement and how no party should have a veto, but I think it's important to remember that the DUP were against the Good Friday Agreement. So the DUP will come out against it, hard Brexiters will come out against it, and Boris Johnson will have to think about how he keeps those people on side, and it may all collapse.
So what's his strategy then? Because we're told that they're still very much in there, pitching, trying to get a deal in time.
I think the strategy is to keep saying that we will leave on October the 31st. I don't think that a lot of people in Number 10 believe that that is actually going to happen. But Boris Johnson needs to make the public think that he has tried everything, and that when on October the 31st he's forced to ask the EU for an extension, he can say that you know, people in Parliament have forced him to go and do this, that it wasn't his plan at all, and that he had no say in the matter. So I think it's all about optics, and if there is an extension that, you know, after October the 31st, then the opposition parties will be happy to have a general election. So I think Boris Johnson is thinking more about a possible general election than us actually leaving under Brexit at the moment.
Dawn, though, I mean, how much of a risk is it to ask for another extension when we know that some members of the EU 27 are really running out of patience with Downing Street?
Well, I think the EU have essentially said to themselves they would only grant another extension in the event of a general election. So if there is another extension